The S&P 500, the Nasdaq 100. Sorry, didn't make a video yesterday. Had some things come up. We had a few people fly in for option drops. Pretty exciting. More stuff coming onto that. But going into this coming week and going into the move that we had today, all but expected based on the data that we got, and then coming into bank earnings as well. Today we saw JP Morgan post pretty decent earnings on top of Citigroup, and we're seeing that banks' health are looking really good. Now going into next week, we do have some big earnings coming out, more banks to start the week, and then going into Wednesday, I think this is where things really ramp up and earnings season really begins. You have Tesla and Netflix, very big names, gonna set the tone for tech. IBM as well on that day. Going into the following day on Thursday, TSM going to set the tone with semiconductors. Definitely going to be a big one. Some healthcare names as well, finishing up with more banks. Again, lot riding on this, specifically starting on Wednesday and going into Thursday. But basically Wednesday night, Thursday morning, I think you get your bulk of your big boys that you're really interested in, right? And that's what's going to set the tone for, you know, the bigger tech names, Microsoft, Amazon, Apple, etc. over the next 3 weeks. So again, very exciting time. Now, I will say on my Sunday video, I give like a more broad viewpoint of the market and things that I'm looking at. But I'm going to say right now, before we jump into anything else in the video, I personally believe on top of the data that we just got from this week, if earnings continue on the route on which they're going, which is what we wanted to see, right? We just had Amazon post the best numbers, the best sales numbers that we've ever had in a 2-year period, right? We just had that. So these are things that we have to be taking into consideration. Before we get into that, to ask you to consider doing 2 things. Liking and subscribing helps the video tremendously. The link is down below, helps out a lot. Check this out. Also want to highlight, if you're interested in joining Discord, you've been trading, you're trying to take that next step, get around traders like-minded like yourself, Discord may be for you. If you're brand new, I would recommend going into our website. We have a lot of free education as well. Go to education, get involved, start practicing. Also, too, the newsletter. This is 100% free coming up for this week. We highlighted everything in this newsletter, key targets 15.7. We're going to go into that, and then everything you needed to know as well. So these literally was the roadmap for the week. Okay, so what I want to do really quick is go over NQ in these charts so you can see where we're getting rejected at or we're finding resistance. Rejection might be the wrong word. So if you go here on the daily and you zoom out, again, this was our line in the sand. You can go back to previous videos, do what you got to do, right? The little high we had right about there. Basically it. I want to show you structurally what happened at this level previously. It was our previous all-time high when you go back to 2021 that we set in September. Peaked there, dipped down. We mounted it. Well, what happened? You bring this up, you can see one touch. You push up, bounce. Bounce again. Push up, you eventually lose it right here. Once you lose it, obviously just tanks. Okay, so again, right now we're at a very interesting inflection point to see how we react here. Now I will say, people that are saying, well, Tyler, looks like we're dropping off from this level. I would not say this is bearish based on how we're reacting here yet. I would not say that. Okay, we need to get more information and more data, right? I'm going to tell you that now. We need to see how we respond. Do sellers respond aggressively, pushing us back down? You're like, well, Tyler, you've rejected almost 200 points. I agree, but we also just moved up from 15.2 to 15, almost 9 in roughly, give or take, 2 to 3 days. Very easily pushing up. And there was an ascending triangle with higher lows being established, which again, we had all but highlighted here on the channel as well. So you can see that playing out there. On ES, I would argue this is almost a bigger level. We look at ES. Go to the daily. You zoom out here. Look at how you're reacting. Look at the same level. Very similar structure back from September, right? We zoom in. Here's a lot of lines, so bear with me. But you can see September, reject, push down. 1, 2, push up. What happens from this level on ES? ES paints a very clean and easy picture to understand here. You push up. Once you lose it, retest, reject. Retest, reject. And then you never come back to this level. So we're getting back into these territories. Anyone saying you're still in a bear market, like I genuinely think you might be delusional. I'm going to pray for you though. So again, that's where we're at right now when we look at the market of just the overall consensus of where we're at and how we're moving. Hope this part has been pretty clear. I really like this. So basically what I'm looking for us to do is just to get back over these levels. Get back over these. Can we mount back over? That's all I want to see. That's all I care about. That's all I want to see. And you're getting a little bit of after hours moving, but still, all in all, or not after hours movement, just movement right now going into this, but still you look all in all pretty great, pretty happy. Again, a little bit of highlighting what's happening here. Just want to cover some of the other markets too. The Russell, you can see we pushed up, getting rejected a little bit on the data too. I think what we're seeing is just a reaction from a very big level. And I think that's all that can be said. You're seeing some profit taking being established, but we need to identify and understand what is happening. I can only come back so many times to these earnings data here. This is going to be huge. This is going to be major. And we have to be paying very close attention to what's happening here with the earnings data. This will 100% set the tone moving forward. Okay? So going into this week, I like the structure and how we're moving, but I am fully aware that things can change like that based on these numbers, based on these reports. So don't go into it thinking we have to keep going. We had good earnings. It just has to keep following. Anything can happen. Yes, Amazon's performed great. Yes, we're getting good numbers from almost every company out there right now, but I want people to still keep their head on a swivel. We're doing really good. Now, with stocks that I'm liking going into next week, let me be very clear. Semiconductors, I don't want to say the ship has sailed, but the ship has, it's all but sailed. Obviously, I was buying AMD down here at 108 to 110. We moved into 122. I'm out of a lot of my position. I've closed a lot. I have a few runners, but I've started to close a lot. Okay, Meta. We bought at 289. We moved into 320, 319, 316. I've closed a lot of my position, right? I'm very aware of where we're at and how we've moved, okay? Now, there's a few names that I'm still very interested in. A few days ago, talked about NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA broke out of this clear ascending triangle that was kind of forming out here. You can clearly see those higher lows are established. You broke up. You have a very similar name with AVGO. It's on my top of my watch list right now. I personally believe AVGO wants to go crazy. I love the way it looks. Very similar structure here. And I think you want to go. I think this is what it wants to move really easily. And it has been moving really well. And it's kind of fallen behind NVIDIA. So I'm watching AVGO, very excited. If it gets above 900, price discovery probably kicks in. We start moving quick. Going into TSM earnings as well, definitely something that has my interest. Netflix. A lot of people are going to be talking about Netflix in the next days and weeks on social media, so I want to attack this first. Netflix, I'm watching 458. You can see that we tested that level almost perfectly today, 456, almost 457. 458 is going to be the line in the sand right here. It's where our high was back in January 19, 2022 when we gapped down, then bounced back up. Okay, and we have a gap fill at 507 roughly. Okay, so I'm looking for a mount of 458, then to move into that. Until then, I'm not super interested in being very careful, very passive there. There's no reason to get crazy. Microsoft. I've been talking about this one a lot as well. You've been moving up. You've been bouncing. Almost a double top here perfectly. I still am looking for Microsoft to get continuation. Okay? I'm going to be very clear. I am still a big bull when it comes to Microsoft. Okay? I don't think you're done. I think the Activision stuff is going to play out, but Microsoft, still a big bull. You haven't had a big price discovery push yet. I am a fan of this, and I think it has more room to go. Definitely keep this on the top of your charts. One of the most interesting names out there, 1, 2, 3, almost top here. So I think it's very interesting where you're getting rejected right now, but I'm looking to see if we can get above 350 and hold. If we can, price discovery will kick in, just like I did with NVIDIA, just like I did with Apple, just like I did with these other names. Definitely keep them on your watch list. Amazon, and I'm just going to go down a laundry list of names I know you guys are watching and trying to trade right now because I've been watching them with you as well. Amazon. Now, we've been trading Amazon pretty great. Obviously, it's been fantastic. If you can hold, I'm looking for a retest of this level right here, the 200 SMA on the daily. That's what we're looking for, a retest, guys. Around 133, 132.8. If you can hold that, you're very bullish. So what you'd be looking for structurally is you get that push up, a retest, and then a push back up. That's what you'd be looking for, okay? You want to buy it for that retest and have tight stops, maybe 131.5, 130, high 131s, whatever you want to have it. That's what I'd be looking for, is a strong hold of that level coming into this following week as well. Okay, a little bit deeper as well. Google, where we're getting big holds here. Google, as long as you're above 122, I'm a big fan. I've trimmed a lot of this position as well, but it's treated me, I can say, very, very well also. Now, a little bit into the smaller cap names I do want to highlight. And also, too, I love Tesla. I think Tesla's going to push into highs into 300 very soon. I don't have a lot to say about it, but it looks really good. I post about it on Twitter all the time, so follow on Twitter. Going into BABA, some of these smaller names. I still love Chinese names, but again, when it goes into Chinese names, what do I always say? Time. So I'm not looking for anything under January 2024 when it comes to options here. You're looking for 120 as your first target. I'm very confident that we're going to get a nice push on these Chinese names, but the biggest indicator for getting buying pressure on the smaller caps, right? Whether you're trading PayPal, Roblox, Coinbase, and they're not small mid caps, BABA, Pinduoduo, whatever you may be trading, Square, okay? If they're not, top tier billion, trillion dollar names, right? What you're looking for is very simple. You want earnings over the next 2 weeks to perform. If earnings perform in the next 2 weeks, my focus will directly shift into smaller/mid cap names, okay? Because I do believe a rotation will come into them if we get good earnings. This is the most serious part of the video. It should be replayed the most. It should be watched the most. I firmly believe if earnings in the next 2 weeks on these next big tech names perform well, small to mid caps will have the best performance in the next 2 to 3 months. Mark my words. That's my big bet. That's what I'm watching over the next few weeks. In my opinion, I think that I've played this market fantastic. That's not to be conceited or anything like that. That's looking back at my journal, looking back at my notes, looking back at my performance. Okay. And I don't want to call it a hunch, but I have very strong feelings about how we're going to react to this earnings with small mid caps. If we go down the laundry list of names, and they're not even small caps, but like CrowdStrike, I'm telling you, these names are held down far too much. Still 100% into all-time highs here. CRM, it's getting a good push this week. We caught it, but still. Snow, 185. Can you finally break above it? I mean, look how much room you have to go here. Datadog. These are just some cloud names I've been screaming out. Square, this isn't a cloud, but I do think it's going to perform if it gets over 80, 82, 84. This is just a laundry list. Goes on and on and on. I guarantee if you're like, oh, well, this stock, it's probably on my list as well, unless it's like a $5 stock, okay? So, again, very exciting, very, excited is the word. So that's what I'm watching for, what I'm waiting for. If you have questions, comment down below. Video will come out Sunday, giving you a broad view of the market and things coming up as far as news. But again, check us out. Make sure you follow us. Have a good one. Traders.